Today, we're stepping back to 1996 to revisit the cast of Moesha Then and Now, a groundbreaking sitcom that celebrated family, friendship, and finding your voice. 29 years have passed, and while some actors sadly passed away, what happened to the rest of the cast? First up, we have Brandy Norwood as Moesha Mitchell, a girl balancing books, boys, and big dreams, all while trying to survive the rules of her father's house. She was bold, she was outspoken, and she didn't bite her tongue for anyone. And honestly, don't we all wish we had that kind of courage at her age? But here's the truth. Confidence doesn't erase confusion. Moesha was smart, yes, but she was also stubborn. She fought with her dad. She clashed with her friends, and she questioned whether she was ready for the woman she was becoming. Isn't that what growing up feels like? That tug of war between who we are and who we're trying to be? Moesha showed us that it's okay to stumble, it's okay to get it wrong, and it's okay to not have all the answers. What matters is that you keep searching, keep speaking, and keep standing in your truth. Because if you silence yourself to make others comfortable, who's really living your life? You or them? It is my pleasure to introduce Ray J, who at just 15 stepped into the role of Dorian Long, a character who forced us to confront what family, forgiveness, and what identity truly means. At first glance, Dorian was the cousin who brought chaos with him, the one who made you sigh and shake your head. But as layers peeled away, we learned the deeper truth. He wasn't just a cousin, but Moesha's half-brother, a son left in the shadows of secrets. His rebellion wasn't just teenage anxiety. It was pain, confusion, and the desperate cry of a young man who wanted to belong. Yet, through his flaws, Dorian gave us honesty. He reminded us that young people who act out are often the ones who need love the most. For dreamers, his ambition in music showed how passion can drive us beyond our mistakes. For families, his story was a mirror of reconciliation and of rebuilding bridges broken by truth. Dorian wasn't perfect, but he was real. And isn't that exactly why we felt him so deeply? Give it up for Countess Vaughn, who at 18 gave us Kimberly Parker, the friend who reminded us that laughter is medicine. Kim was silly, playful, sometimes downright clueless, but she was also joy wrapped in a human body. She wasn't the perfect student. She wasn't the most serious one in the group, but she brought a light that made every heavy moment easier to bear. And isn't that what friendship is supposed to do? Sometimes life is too much, and you need that one friend who makes you laugh so hard you forget why you were crying. Kim was that friend to Moesha. To the girls who feel like they're not the smart one or not the serious one, Kim reminded us that you don't have to fit a box to be valuable. Your humor, your quirks, your energy, those are gifts. And to the world, let's not dismiss the Kims in our lives. Behind the jokes is someone deeply loyal, endlessly loving, and impossible to replace. In memory of the late Bernie Mac, who at 39 gave us Uncle Bernie, a character who could light up the room with nothing more than a side-eye or a one-liner. Uncle Bernie wasn't perfect. He wasn't the polished, responsible brother like Frank. Instead, he was the flawed one, the hustler, and the dreamer still trying to find his footing. And yet, wasn't that what made him so lovable? For every family out there, there's an Uncle Bernie, the one who might show up late, might borrow a few dollars, but always arrives with laughter and heart. He taught us that family isn't about perfection, but presence. To young people, he was proof that life doesn't have to be linear, that even in struggle there's joy. To the world, he showed that humor can be healing, that sometimes the one who makes you laugh hardest is the one carrying the most weight. Bernie Mac gave us an Uncle Bernie we'll never forget, a reminder that even the flawed members of the family are the glue that keeps love real. Allow me to present Cheryl Lee Ralph, who at 39 gave us Dee Mitchell, a stepmother who reminded us that love doesn't stop at blood. Dee walked into a family still carrying the weight of grief, into children who weren't sure they wanted her there. And instead of forcing her way in, she chose patience, grace, and consistency. And isn't that what real love is? Showing up, even when you're not fully welcomed. Dee was proof that motherhood isn't only about giving birth. It's about giving yourself. For the step-parents watching, she was a quiet reminder that your presence matters, even when it feels like it doesn't. And for the children of blended families, she showed that new love doesn't erase old love, it just makes room for more. Dee Mitchell taught us that being strong doesn't mean being harsh, and being firm doesn't mean being unkind. Sometimes, the bravest thing a parent can do is stand steady while their child learns to trust them. That's what Dee Mitchell did, and that's why we'll never forget her. Joining our lineup is Marcus T. Paulk, who at just 9 years old gave us Myles Mitchell, the little brother who reminded us that childhood is both messy and magical. He teased, he annoyed, he cracked jokes at the wrong time. But that's the beauty of siblings, isn't it? They get on your nerves, but you'd fight the world for them. Myles was Moesha's shadow, but he wasn't just comic relief. He was the heartbeat of innocence in a house full of adult-sized problems. Sometimes we forget how much younger siblings see and how much they absorb. Myles reminded us that kids hear the arguments, feel the tension, and carry pieces of it, even when they don't understand. To every little brother out there, you matter. Your joy lightens the whole house. Your questions force adults to think harder. Your love holds families together in ways no one gives you credit for. Don't ever believe your role is small. Myles showed us it never was. Celebrating the life of the late Yvette Wilson, who at 32 gave us Andell Wilkerson, the truth teller every family and friend circle needs. Andell wasn't here to sugarcoat life. She spoke it plain, laughed it off when she had to, and held you accountable when you tried to play yourself. She was that auntie, that big sister, that homegirl at the neighborhood spot who'd tell you the advice you didn't want to hear but desperately needed. Andell ran her business with grit, carried herself with pride, and still made room to nurture those around her. And isn't that what strength looks like? To young people watching, she was proof you don't have to be perfect to be powerful. You just have to be real. And to the adults, she reminded us that community doesn't stop at bloodline. Sometimes, your greatest support comes from chosen family. Andell was laughter, wisdom, and resilience rolled into one unforgettable presence. Rest in peace to the late Lamont Bentley, who at 23 years old gave us Hakeem Campbell, the boy next door who felt more like family than a friend. He was funny, loyal, and always hungry, showing up at the Mitchells' dinner table like it was his own. But beneath the jokes and endless appetite was a kid growing up with the weight of a single-parent household. His mom worked multiple jobs, and that reality forced Hakeem to grow up faster than most teens. Doesn't that sound familiar? Some of us know what it's like to be young but carrying adult responsibilities. What made Hakeem special was that he never let hardship harden him. He laughed through the struggle, loved his friends deeply, and stayed grounded when life tried to pull him off balance. To the young people grinding in silence, remember Hakeem. You can be resilient without being bitter. You can be playful and still be strong. His story reminds us that sometimes the kids with the biggest smiles are the ones carrying the heaviest loads, and that strength, that's something you can't fake. Say hello to William Allen Young, who became Frank Mitchell, the kind of father many of us knew growing up. Protective to a fault, strict enough to frustrate, but loving in ways that left no doubt. Frank wasn't just a provider, he was a man constantly negotiating what it meant to lead a family in a world stacked against him. He reminded us that fatherhood isn't easy, especially for black men balancing discipline, fear, and hope for their children. And yes, his past mistakes haunted him, but isn't that real life? Parents carry their scars into their parenting. Frank's journey told us that even when parents fall short, their love doesn't disappear. It just shows up in imperfect ways. For the teens who felt misunderstood at home, Frank was proof that your parents' strictness often comes from love, even if it's poorly expressed. And for parents, he was a reminder, protection should never silence connection. Frank Mitchell taught us that family isn't built on perfection. It's built on presence, forgiveness, and the willingness to keep trying. A big shout out to Fredro Starr, who gave us Quinton Q. Brooks, the rebel with a heart, and the love interest who turned Moesha's world upside down. Quinton walked into her life with confidence that demanded attention, but also with layers that revealed he wasn't just some bad boy trope. He was a dreamer, an ambitious young man carving out a future in hip-hop, fighting to be more than where he came from. Sure, Moesha's father didn't approve. Many parents wouldn't, but isn't that what makes young love both thrilling and terrifying? Q forced audiences, especially teens, to wrestle with the difference between perception and reality. He reminded us that people can be misunderstood, that strength and tenderness can coexist, and that sometimes the ones who challenge us the most end up teaching us who we are. Quinton was edgy, magnetic, and unforgettable. He wasn't perfect, but neither is love, and that's exactly why his story still resonates. Clear the stage for Shar Jackson, who at 19 gave us Niecy Jackson, Moesha's best friend who taught us that loyalty doesn't need a spotlight. Niecy wasn't the loudest in the room, but she was often the glue that held her circle together. She showed us the beauty of being the steady one, the friend who listens, who grounds, who laughs at the right time, and cries with you when no one else knows what to say. And yet, Niecy's struggles made her even more relatable. She didn't have the fairy tale romances. She wasn't perfect, she stumbled in love, questioned herself, and fought insecurities. But isn't that the truth about growing up? Niecy reminded us that you don't need to be flawless to be loved deeply. For young women watching, she was proof that being real is more powerful than pretending. To the world, remember the Niecys in your life. They may not always stand in the front, but their presence anchors the whole group. Sometimes, the friend who holds others up is the one who needs to be reminded she's unforgettable too. And just like that, the story of Moesha Cast, Where Are They Now 2025 comes full circle. This black sitcom wasn't just about teenage drama. It was about family, love, and life's growing pains. Some of the cast faced heartbreaking endings, and we paused to honor the Moesha cast who died. Others walked through shocking transformations that left us inspired by their resilience. So tell us, which cast member surprised you the most? Whose glow-up was unforgettable? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because your voice keeps this memory alive. This was Moesha Cast Then and Now 2025. Until next time, keep smiling, keep learning, and keep celebrating the stories that shaped us.